I'm back, bitches. It's patch time. I'm here to show you what's new, and it's a big one. As an overview, there are 4 buffs: Mei, Pharah, Reaper, and Sigma. Genji has a buff and a nerf, and Zarya has been nerfed. First up, Genji's primary and secondary fire recovery has been lowered from 0.75 to 0.68, so his fire rate is increased, but his ultimate now takes 15% more charge to fill up. Mei's Cryo Freeze now gives her 50 heal per second instead of 37.5. Pharah's hover jets now recharge faster, going up from 35 to 43. Reaper's damage per projectile has been increased from 5.5 to 6. Sigma's barrier cooldown has been reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds. And Zarya's overall energy drain rate has been increased from 1.6 to 1.8 per second. Alright, so overall I'm a fan of every single one of these changes. I think they're great for the health of the game and sort of rounding out the roster. You can tell from this patch and the past couple that Blizzard is working to try and make sure that everything is getting played. Orisa was buffed, Winston was buffed, Ball was nerfed. Things like buffs to Genji will mean that maybe Dive is a little bit better. Same goes for Mei because she's good with Reinhardt team comps. Previous Echo nerfs coupled with Pharah buffs could be good for seeing variety there in the DPS category. And the Sigma buffs and Zarya nerfs are looking, at least on paper, to be driving the tank role into a very level state. Obviously we always have to see these things play out, but this is the most work I've seen Blizzard do that may potentially be successful in creating a more level playing field for the game. Whether or not this will actually do it is another question. So the Genji changes I'm a huge fan of. I think this has been a really long time coming. A lot of community members have complained about Genji essentially being a Dragon Blade bot. He's pretty much picked up to play Nano Blade. In the earlier days of the game, he was a lot better at being an assassin. And in terms of what people really want to do with the character and what's fun about him, I think this is good. People have suggested in the past that Dragon Blade shouldn't be buffed by Nano at all, but I like the method of increasing his ult cost instead. Players should still get to use those cool interactions. Things like a Genji who shoots faster coupled with the new buffed Winston could become very scary with dive comps, so this will be interesting to see. The main changes I think are going to be barely noticeable at all. A self-heal has never really been a strong part of her kit. This is like a tiny buff, if any, but when she's in the thick of it, which is where she's good, she will be a bit more survivable. Faster healing Mei could also mean that a Reinhardt Brawl style team comp that really wants to rush in and start doing damage quickly will be slightly better at what it's doing because Mei's supports will need to heal her just a little bit less. The change to Pharah's hovering is pretty inconsequential. It's a little bit of a buff. Typically I wouldn't like buffs to Pharah just because I don't like the character. I think her just flying off in the distance and firing rockets and forcing a hit scan pick isn't super fun. But when you compare her to Echo being a strong pick, this is quite fair. I think there should really only be one flying character, if any, that has this sort of consistency with it. Echo's fly is more of a re-maneuvering ability and a glide. I'm hoping this just gives a bit more variety to the game and not any terrible consequences like some sort of double shield with a Pharah raining shit down on you on Dorado and you never move forward. But perhaps a better dive comp can break that more easily. The Reaper changes I think are fine. I like the philosophy behind them. They wanted it to be beneficial and the lower damage just wasn't as good. I've played Reaper quite a bit now with the 5.5 damage per pellet and it doesn't feel super impactful. It feels a little bit spammy if you ask me to really do anything meaningful. So this is probably just that nice tiny bump that it needs to be in that sweet spot they wanted. Take note that that's 2 buffs to 2 separate Reinhardt Brawl comp heroes in one patch, but also take note that Zarya was nerfed. I think the Sigma buff is good. I said it in the video when the nerfs originally came out, putting his shield at 2.5 second cooldown. That completely gutted the feel of the hero. That's not to say that the hero is bad currently. I think it's nice to see them test out a little reduction in that. It was pretty severe, and as the notes say, you know, it's still probably a very good window for a lot of counterplay against the hero, so I think it's good. I think the Zarya nerf is also pretty fair. This should sort of separate the good Zaryas from the okay Zaryas in making sure you can really secure your energy, and it should make it easier for people playing around you to sort of shut you down a bit more. And this is obviously going to have quite a big impact between fights. So if you win a fight and you're high energy, when the enemy team comes back, you're going to be a little weaker. And I think overall for the state of the game, that's quite fair. I don't really like the idea of snowballing super hard. People in the past have tested out, you know, workshop game modes where ultimates reset after you capture a point. Snowballing is part of the game, but whether it's good for the game is another question. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm quite excited to see how this patch plays out. It should be pretty entertaining and hopefully bring some good variety to the game at the moment, especially seeing as we're not getting any new content till Overwatch 2, which is not coming this year. And if you found this discussion insightful, helpful, anything like that, please drop me a like or subscribe. I'd love to have a chat with you about the patch in the comments, and I'll see you for my next video on Monday. Get out of here.